Nah, man, it's cool. It's yeah, it's it takes a minute to navigate these the menus because it's not like well, I guess it's plug and play if you've already set it up at one point. So if I unplug my the mic I have on right now, if I unplug it and then plug in something else, another
Yeah.
mic, it'll automatically choose that mic as my mic, as my voice or my audio input. So, but that's because I already have done this, and set it up. It
Right, right.
knows, yeah.
Yeah, I just I don't know, it's in my settings. I had my mic muted for Discord, so I had to like go through my settings in my web browser and unmute it, and it just yeah.
That's cool. Hell yeah. Well, I mean, most of the time, I spend a good couple minutes at least, kind of helping people through. They can't get their mic working, or I can hear them, but they can't hear me, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
No, man, that's most people. That's most people. The only one that's not, that it's not is are people that are gamers that have used Discord, that use Discord currently to chat while they're gaming.
Right, right.
And that's a lot of PC gamers. PC gamers use Discord to voice chat while they're in game because in-game chats for different games are real clunky sometimes.
Right. Yeah,
So
I'm an Xbox man myself.
yeah, same.
Are you on the new Series X, or are you still rocking the old one?
Yeah, the X.
I'm still rocking the old one, man. I'm gonna run her till
Nice.
she dies.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not that much of a difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of my friends have the Series X. I mean, of course, they say it looks better and everything else, but
Right.
it's almost like a scoreboard, kind of thing. If I'm
Exactly.
beating them out, then it's acceptable.
Well, it's if you're playing on a giant TV, then both of them, and you had them next to each other, you could probably tell.
Yeah,
I could definitely tell a difference when my sons were living here, and they got the new one. I still had the old one. They got new TVs that did 4K. I didn't. I had an older TV that was just uh, regular 1080. So when I would walk in, we'd be playing a game together, right? A
yeah,
multiplayer game together, Halo or whatever it is. Especially something like that that has really good graphics and vibrant colors and stuff. So I'd walk in there and look, and I'm like, holy shit! Okay, I can really see a difference, but only because I had that comparison almost right next to each other. Uh, Most of the time, it doesn't make a difference. You know.
yeah, yeah. Perspective.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're not streaming or whatever, like, well, even streaming, like it depends on your connection.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, I don't do much streaming. I mean, I'll watch it. Like I watched, Tim the Tap Man and Nick Mercs and them guys.
Yeah.
Never got into it myself.
Yeah, I tried streaming a couple times when I was laid up before I started doing all this stuff, and in fact, the office was a little different. Where that flag is, there was a TV hanging on the wall, 40 inch, I think, and then right underneath it, I had one of those wall mounts for the Xbox.
Yeah.
And so it's just basic Velcro straps with like a plastic piece that the Velcro straps went through, and it just
Hmm.
mounted to the wall. So I had to hang in there. So uh, I would work on the computer for about, at the time I could do about 10 minutes, 15 minutes at a time because my hand wouldn't work on the mouse.
Oh,
So I couldn't. Yeah, I mean, listen, bro. I would have never thought, these little things, right?
yeah, yeah.
The amount of muscle it takes to hold your finger up off the mouse button so it doesn't rest on it and keep clicking it when you move the mouse
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
Uh, that thing started wearing out like 2 minutes. I couldn't hold my finger up. I was like, what the fuck? So it's such a weird feeling, when you have those abilities and then all of a sudden you don't.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I never would have thought that. the weight of your finger would just, keep clicking it. So anyway, I would work on the computer for a little bit, and then I'd turn around and play a game uh, for a little bit because my hands would rest differently on the. I could really rest my hands on the controller and the controller
Hmm.
on my lap,
Right.
and I could move the thumbsticks very. It was real easy. So anyway, so I would play on here, and so I set up a Twitch thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stream. I didn't have a camera. I didn't want to put a camera on it. I couldn't put, like get a good angle or nothing. So I'm like, I'll just stream the game itself, and I'll put a mic on there and talk because you could set it up with your Xbox headset.
Hmm.
So remember when when Xbox or Microsoft, I guess, first bought Twitch, and they allowed it on the. I don't know if they bought it, but they first like linked it to the X where you could just stream
Yeah,
through the
and you can
Xbox.
stream right on there and watch people straight through Xbox. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Uh-huh. That's when I was trying all that stuff, and I was like, dude, fuck this shit. I can't. I
Yeah, 'cause
suck at playing anyway, so my
Mi-
my gameplay's not interesting.
Microsoft had its own like streaming service there for a little while. I can't remember
Hmm.
what the fuck it was called because it only lasted for a short time period and like it died.
Right.
But I knew they had that. I don't know if they bought Twitch, but I knew like recently a lot of people left Twitch and went to YouTube gaming because Twitch was doing a 70-30 split in
Oh.
the donation money that the
Uh-huh.
streamers were getting. And now they're doing a 50-50 split.
Oh.
So they cut out 20% of their revenue that the streamers were
Yeah.
getting. So a lot of people left that. That's why like Tim and like Dr. Disrespect went on to the YouTube scene
Oh shit.
predominantly and left Twitch. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So,
Crazy what money does.
yeah, of course. I mean, if you're putting time in and you're gaining followers and you know how to do it and you're going to do it consistently and you could, get the views to make money, then you should definitely go to whatever platform is going to support that the best.
Oh, absolutely. I
So,
mean, those guys, I mean, they don't claim to be a business, but I mean, essentially they're a business. I mean, that's
yeah,
their full-time job. It's what they're claiming on their taxes,
for
and
sure.
but yeah, I mean, those guys, I don't know how they do it. I really don't. You watch some of them, and it's like they're playing a game that I feel like I could play just as good, but they got 60,000 people watching them live, and there's a $25 donation coming in every 60 seconds, and you're like, wow, why didn't I think of this 10 years ago?
Bro, listen, when I was doing the uh make sure my phone is turned on silent. When I was doing the when I started my own Twitch thing through Xbox. So I'm like, it's new to me. I'm like, oh, this is on Xbox. I'm looking at all these different channels. I'm just scrolling through, just I wasn't even searching anything, just whatever would pop up, all the different tiles and stuff. And I see this girl is sleeping. Like this woman is sleeping on the bed. Her camera's like way up in the corner. She's got a shirt on, like a t-shirt and shorts, but
Yeah.
she's supposedly, I don't know, sleeping. I mean, she's laying there, and these tips are coming in. There's like this soft music playing, and the thing that streams across the bottom or top or whatever, like the channel stream thing, text or whatever was like, uh, for every so many tips or so many dollar amount tips or whatever, I will sleep X amount of minutes more or whatever. So people were paying to watch this girl sleep, and it
Oh
wasn't
my,
like she was in like lingerie. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't. I'm trying to
yeah.
figure out what's the catch, what's the appeal, what is the pull.
I,
I'm going what? It's that fucking easy. Like
dude, there's got to be a kink
I'm
out there.
like, Jen, come here. Like I'm talking to my wife. Get the fucking camera. I'm gonna do your switch or start a Twitch thing for you where you can sleep. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, for real. And I've said that before. Definitely not the knock against women whatsoever. But it does seem like if you're a pretty good looking woman and you start a social media page for whatever, whether it's
Yeah.
airsoft or gaming or guns or anything that men are going to be watching, it's
Anything.
like instantly just blows up. Like overnight, they got like 100,000 followers in a month, and you're like, what?
Oh, dude.
I've been
And
working at this for
tips.
10 years.
Yeah. I'm saying, bro.
Yeah.
It is. It's crazy. Yeah, it's. I was talking to. I think it's actually on the podcast. It is. I was talking to this girl in the UK, Alex Hillary, and she says, I can't remember how we got on the topic, but similar type of thing, where
Mhm.
we were talking about girls in airsoft and and that kind of thing, and she's like, yeah, I was kind of nervous at first, whatever, when I first started because there wasn't very many. There was like one other female on the field or whatever, but and then she's like, yeah, I post on here and I do that, but I keep getting messages like the stalker stuff, whatever. I was like what? What do you get? And she says, people ask me for feet pictures, and I said, feet pictures. She's like, yeah, and I had heard, obviously, we've all heard of that foot fetish thing, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was so popular or so common, I guess. So she's like, yeah, I had this. There, like handfuls of guys offer me 50 to 100 quid or pounds or whatever to send them feet pictures. The one guy said 500 pounds he would pay me to send him like a group of 10 pictures with my feet in different foods. So spaghetti, eggs, beans. And I was like, are you going to do it? And she was like, no.
I mean, dude, I'm not shocked at all. I'm really not. Like, I don't get it. I don't
It's so
understand the
wild.
hustle that these people try to do this like simping basically. But like I said,
Yeah.
almost in a way, more power to women because they got it figured out in some shape, way, or form.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, welcome, dude.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Um, so you are Airsoft Nomad.
Correct.
Is that your Instagram as well? I
It
can't
is,
remember.
yeah. So my
Okay.
Insta is under Airsoft Nomad Official. YouTube's Airsoft Nomad. And then recently I created an online retail and event company for Airsoft MilSims, which is Nomad MilSim, which is also
That's
shared on Facebook and other social media forums as well.
okay. Perfect. Yeah, that's right. I remember you had mentioned something about that where you had started, something recently where you're going to host events. So, well, let's
Yeah,
go over where are you at? What state you in right now?
I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in
Oh,
Central
you're up
PA.
north. Okay, you're up north. Fucking cold and rainy. Well, it's probably not that bad right now. I don't know.
It's like in the low 30s, but we got snow and ice coming on
Uh,
Thursday. So winter is
okay.
definitely here and it's been pretty brisk.
Okay. Yeah. Did you grow up there?
I did, yeah. So I was
So you're
born here
used
in
to it.
Pennsylvania, moved to Michigan, which is just another even colder state,
Yep.
and then back here to Pennsylvania, and I've been here for I don't know, probably 15 years now at least.
Oh yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Well, that makes it better when you're used to it. When you're used to the cold. If you go from a warm state to up there in the wintertime, it
I
kind of
would never
sucks.
say I'm used to it.
I know, right?
I don't like the cold at all. I mean, I'm weird. I don't like the dead of summer because I'm fat, and I don't like being hot, and I don't like the dead of winter because then I get cold. So I'm like in that spring fall
Oh
like
yeah.
time of June, like the two shortest seasons that almost don't exist anymore. They're my
No
favorite.
shit, right?
So yeah, I mean, it's I don't know why I live here. I don't know why.
Hell yeah. All right, so you guys were you guys football fans growing up, like your parents?
There's my wife passing by.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of was. I mean, my dad was into it. I mean, we always follow different sports, between football and baseball, but never got hardcore into it. I mean, for me, I like college for Notre Dame.
Oh, nice.
Professional, I'm almost really sad to say it. This season is Tampa Bay.
Oh shit. So you
Yeah,
weren't a Steelers fan. That's wild.
no, no, I don't support any PA teams actually. Not for any like valid reason other than just like my whole family was about Penn State and like the Eagles, and I've always been like that black sheep outcast. So I was like,
Okay.
I have to be different. So then when we
Yeah.
watch football, I'm the one rooting for like the other team against my family. I don't know.
Oh
I'm weird.
shit.
I'm weird like that, man. So
No, that's not weird. That's
that's
so
what I've
common.
done for years. So
Yeah.
I've just always supported different teams. But recently, to be honest, over the last like probably 5 years or so, with the whole Colin Kaepernick and the politics that got into it,
Right.
I kind of took a big step back from watching sports. Not to say side with one side or the other, just because I just hate drama and the
Yeah,
bullcrap
dude.
that surrounds it. So I just took a big step back, and I really don't watch anymore. I watch the Super Bowl if a game's on and I have free time and I catch it, I'll watch. But
Right.
I don't get too far into it anymore. How about yourself?
So I grew up, watching it, and I grew up in Cleveland. So, well, you're in Pennsylvania, Akron, outside of Cleveland.
Yep.
So we grew up in Akron, and then uh, so we were Cleveland Browns fans growing up, and they were halfway decent back then. They were, nicknamed the Cardiac Kids back in the early '80s when I was, and late '70s when I was watching them, and then I was young. And then my dad was as far as college goes, he was a Notre Dame fan. He loved
Oh,
Notre
perfect.
Dame. Oh yeah. And and then as I got older, of course I went. I liked Ohio State, and of course Notre Dame because of my dad, and then the Browns. And I always, once I left, went in the military, and then once I left the house and got on my own and all that kind of stuff. When I came back, and we started a family. I actually lived back in Ohio. Moved back there after a little while after I got out. We would get together and watch games. I was still a Browns and Ohio State and Notre Dame fan. Um, when we moved down here to South Carolina 15 years ago, back in '07, I tried not rooting for the Browns just because they were fucking horrible. They're always disappointing. So
They've been rough for a while, honestly.
yeah, and so I was like, all right, I got to find a team because I love watching football. I got to find a team that does halfway decent, and it can't be the Steelers because they were always our arch rivals. Okay,
Right.
uh, so I got to find a team that I can enjoy watching, that I know will win at least half the time. So I I just couldn't do it, bro. It was like in my blood. Like
Right.
every time the Browns were on, I just couldn't get that emotional attachment to a team that I had with the Browns. Um, and I so anyway, so I really didn't have time. To be honest, I did not have time to watch football or any sports for a lot of years. We moved down here. Our kids were still young. I was working a ton of overtime. Working 7 days a week. I might work 30 days in a row. So, and then with five kids, once they started getting, they were get a little bit older, they were all close together, different sports. We were busy as hell. We never had cable. We never had, time to watch TV anyways. So when I did, when I got laid up and I was able to watch sports, that's when all that shit started happening with
Right.
the NFL. And I was like, fuck this, bro. It turned me off completely. I couldn't even watch a game. I was so disinterested. So I just never watched. This is the first year that I watched football again since that. And I don't know. I guess all of our kids had moved out in the last year and a half, and well, my daughter moved out a while ago. She went in the Air Force years ago. Spent 4 years in the Air Force, but all my the other three other kids bought houses, and then my youngest daughter, they're looking for a house now. They got married back in October, so all of our kids moved out, and now it's me and my wife, and I'm like, man, it's football season. I don't know what happened. I just started getting into it, and
Hmm.
there's no politics in it. Not really. I don't watch Sports Center kind of stuff.
Yeah, I
I
don't
just
either.
watch the game. I don't like the talking heads, which is
Yeah.
funny because here I am doing this, being a talking head, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But
different though, you know what I mean, when you're doing your own thing, and those guys are paid to say certain things, I think, they're not
right,
gonna say what they wanna be saying, and like yourself, I'm a veteran too, so, like, for
right,
me, when that was all going on, I was just like, "Yeah, I gotta be done with this for now,"
yeah,
because it's just, it goes against every moral fiber of my
uh
being
huh.
to support or watch any of this.
It's weird is I tried getting it out of my head. So I would try turning a game on like 10, 15 minutes into the game, right? I still couldn't do it. I still
Mhm.
couldn't do it. It's just I was so hung up on, it's just like, bro, I just cannot all this because in the halftime stuff they start talking about all this shit. I'm like, dude, fuck out of here. So, but yeah, this is the first year I started watching it again. College as well, and because I didn't watch college back then either. Because
Right.
some of the teams were starting to do that other stupid shit. So now it seems pretty. I haven't seen anything weird. So been all right.
Yeah, and college was better with that stuff too. I think that they were a little more,
Yeah, there was only a couple
the reins
teams.
were there a little bit more to not allow
Yeah.
them to do it.
Hmm. So yeah, we just we don't. I got to say though, I was big. I was a news junkie for a long time, and then like so right after the military, I got out in '93, late '93. For probably 7 or 8 years, I kept up on the news constantly. And I don't know if it was because of the military, like, you have to keep up on current event stuff, but it, I didn't realize at the time, it was really fucking me up, like in the head, like all the
Mhm.
negative shit.
Yep.
So it kind of fixed itself. I didn't really choose to stop watching until I was away from it for a while because I started working a lot of overtime, back then, like late '90s, and I would I didn't have time, and then we got rid of cable. Our kids were little. We had VHS tapes and stuff for them, for, kids
Yeah.
movies and
Yeah.
Barney, and we let them watch that here and there. But we didn't have cable TV. We never had the TV on, and so I got out of it. And then I'd go, we would go to a family event somewhere, my parents or my sisters or something, where they'd have the news on in the background kind of shit.
Mhm.
And I'm going, oh, what the fuck, man! It just gave me this weird feeling. I'm like, oh no, so I
I
chose not to watch it for 20 years.
I honestly haven't watched the news in years, and the
Yeah,
reason is it's depressing,
it is.
and all they do is hound on everything that's bad, and,
Mm-hmm.
you can't go through life just thinking about everything that's wrong. There's gotta be positivity,
Right.
and I feel like the news just doesn't do that at all.
Absolutely. Yeah, you remember when the videos start coming? There's a ton of videos online, like YouTube and Instagram and stuff, with different accounts where that are positive. The uh, the free hugs guy, he was going
Mhm.
around, and then and then there was this other channel. I can't remember which one it was, but they would show just positive, like the feel good stories,
Yeah.
somebody helped somebody else do this, or they helped this, like the one guy that was doing free haircuts. There was the free hugs guy, and then there was the free haircut guy who would just go in the middle of, I don't know, New York City or something, or a big city, and
Yeah, I
set
think
up
that one
a,
was in New York.
yeah, and set up, and he would help like homeless guys, get cleaned up and shit.
Mhm.
um yeah, just shit like that. It was like, man, you watch a few of those, it really rebuilds your faith in humanity. And if you just pay attention to everyday life, like you go to the store, you go to the gas station, you go to work, most people are just are good, are good people. Like they're polite. Hey, how you doing? Whatever. Like they're not shitting on everybody all the time.
Yeah, and I think that's why someone like the Mr. Beast, who's just he's like the biggest YouTuber right now. I think he has the largest
Yep.
channel, and like that's why he's just blown up so much because his whole channel is surrounded by like a positive thing and
Yeah.
helping people, and showing life, from a different point of view. And he obviously has lots of money with the viewership that he gets, and he just gives
Right.
it all away. He's like a
Hmm.
modern day like Robin Hood. And I almost feel like he came into the picture like right at the perfect time
Yeah.
and had just blown it out of the water because there was so much negativity that people like viewed that as an ability to like escape it. And
Uh-huh.
he's become that platform for them. And I think it's the same way in airsoft. I mean, like
Yep.
getting off the whole world discussion, but even in airsoft, like you see so much
It is.
negativity and like
Hmm.
toxicity around airsoft. There's so many different teams out there and different things going on. They're always the best, or their guns are the best, and don't be a rental and all this other stuff. And that's something that I kind of branched off on my own for and created my own thing. And I'm trying to do a lot more stuff with like charity, and working with like veterans organizations, Special Olympics, things like that,
Oh,
to
nice.
get them more involved, and coming out to like our events and things like that. And like we're doing raffles and things at our events, which everybody does that, but we're actually
Yeah.
donating our money to charity, for a lot of that stuff. And we do like a monthly giveaway every single month. It's a $10 subscription.
Yeah.
Once we make ourselves whole on the gun that we give away, it goes to charity. So like
Nice.
yeah, so a lot of the, what I'm trying to build up in airsoft is like I don't want to compare myself to Mr. Beast, but like trying to change that mindset from like a toxic, money hungry, we're the best mindset to just like let's build a community, let's have fun, and let's get back to what this truly is, and that's a
Mm,
game, and an escape from reality, and it should be
right.
about enjoying yourself.
Yeah,
So
for
I mean
sure.
that's what my whole goal is, and what I'm trying to do with my company and even my YouTube channel. I was always trying to go out and help kids and play with those rental players and give things away and do reviews and how to videos and actually explain things and how stuff works and be that like mentor for people and of course provide gameplay because everyone likes watching that.
Sure. Yeah, that's good, man. Now, did you start playing airsoft in Pennsylvania?
I would say so. Yeah, I probably started playing when I was like in elementary school. So
Holy shit. Okay.
I'm a good bit older than you, or younger than you, I should say. I was born in '95,
Yeah.
so I'm 27. So yeah, I probably started playing like elementary age, and I played my way up. Then I stopped when I was in the service. I was in the service for 6 years, and then when I got
Okay.
out, I started up again. I got into like filming, which then spun off into doing like the YouTube thing on airsoft, and then like I said, obviously I came from like the positive vibes and like the teamwork mentality from the military, like how you did,
Right.
and came in airsoft and realized that it's there, but it's not the predominant thing. It feels like at times. So I thought
Hmm.
I want to build something that incorporates that feel good, positive mentality and inclusion that I feel like at times is missing. And like I said, that's why I just spun up my whole little thing that I've built now to this point.
Sure. No, that's cool, man. Yeah, that's so good because what I'm hearing is more and more people that I talk with are doing, have the same kind of mindset as what you're talking about with the being positive and working on kind of spreading that. In fact, I've said it so many times, but yeah, I feel like the airsoft community is probably the biggest pay it forward
Mhm.
community that I've ever seen. That I just I've talked with so many people in different countries. It's all the same. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how
Mhm.
they started in airsoft. Doesn't matter where they grew up, what their background was. Military veteran or not. Uh, it doesn't matter. Like it is every single person I've talked with is that same way. Just giving, generous, wanting to kind of spread that vibe or whatever around. So and helping people get started so that people have a good time, while they're there, shit like that. So yeah, it's wild, dude. Okay. Now what? So did you play when you started recently, like in the last, I guess as an adult after you got out of the military, when you started playing again? Did you go to mostly were you doing MilSims or just like pickup games at an outdoor field or
Uh,
speed soft?
so I've tried a little bit of everything. So I
Mm-hmm.
do attend MilSim events throughout the year. I do open plays as well. I mostly play at Outdoor Extreme Legalstown, Ambush Adventure Park. I'll adventure down into Maryland. I have done the speedball type thing. It's a little too much for my personal liking. Like you said, I'm old and fat, so I don't do so hot with the running around and the tight space with 50 people.
You don't
But
want to run and slide.
yeah, no, I'd probably break a hip. Yeah, like even when it starts getting snowy, and like as soon as I fall one time, I'm like, I'm done. Like it could be like the first game, and I'm just like, yeah, I need a break already. I need to sit in my car, drink
Oh
hot
shit.
chocolate, and then I'll think about it. But yeah, I mean, I've kind of expanded into all aspects of it. When I was a kid, it was all just like backyard pickup. Play with your buddies. The Walmart clear plastic guns.
Right.
That your dad bought you for 20 bucks and said it was a real good one. Um, you
I
know,
did the same thing with these guys. Yeah.
yeah. So that's how I got started, and then up through high school, I had some better stuff. I remember when like Air Splat was around.
Oh
I don't even
wow.
think they're in business anymore. I think they went out of business like 10 years ago.
Oh shit.
Um,
Okay.
so I used to shop with them. I don't even know if e-bike was a thing when I used to play pretty heavy. And
Yeah.
they've been around for a while. So I remember it back when it was like the early stages, before it, kind of grew into how big it is now. Um, so I've just kind of built my way up, and I saw the starts of like the, AEGs becoming what they were with lipos, and then green gas guns and gas blowback stuff, and, getting into HPA when that all came out. So, I was a part of, kind of progressed with the sport. Sorry, my wife is like now going down to my basement.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Sorry. Damn it, honey. God.
Oh, it's fine. It's
This is
fine.
important enough. Yeah, so I kind of followed the entire thing the whole way through. So it's been an exciting experience for me, and now I'm the stereotypical exclusive MTW Polar Star player out there with my full kit. Um, you know, and as a veteran player, when I first kind of came back out of the service, it was like almost cringy for me with like kind of how it came through.
Mm,
You see these guys that are 20, that are wearing the 101st Airborne patch and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I had to
right.
readjust a little bit with it, but yeah, I mean it's a great outlet. It's something I really enjoy. It's fun for me. Me and some of my buddies, we always go play. And I associate with a lot of different people and a lot of different teams, and that's something for me. I was on a team for a while,
Okay.
and even that kind of grew into like a sort of toxic situation in a way. And I just wanted to like that community thing again, like I was talking about. Like I wanted to have fun with like everybody. Like I didn't want to be stuck on just doing one thing with what this group of individuals do. I wanted to experience everything that there was,
Right.
and truly enjoy the whole sport. And so I feel like I've kind of done that over the course of the last 15 or so years that I've been playing.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm
that's
a
good, man.
long-winded speaker, so if I talk too long, just cut me off.
No, it's no, no. That you're good. You're perfect. That is no. I love to hear the elaborated stories because um, I'm not really that good at asking a whole lot of questions, I guess. So when somebody, if somebody opens up and they start talking, telling more stories about or more in depth, I guess, about their journey and where they're at now and what they're involved in, what they're excited about. I love to hear it. I don't mind at all.
Yeah,
My
well,
face might not always show it. I don't know because I was doing the podcast with the guys from Black Wolf Videos. Uh, well, they're both named Matt. One Matt is Black Wolf Videos, and then the other Matt was Vanguard Airsoft Events or something like that. So, and they're out in Texas, I think. Yeah. So, and as they're talking, I'm listening, and they're both like going back and forth telling these different stories, whatever. And I'm sitting here like this, and the one guy just stops, and he's like, "Are you? Do you understand? Like, are you good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what? Yeah, I'm good, man. What? What?" He's like, "Oh, okay. I couldn't read your expression." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, no, I'm fine. Like, I'm really enjoying it. Sometimes, and they were on these earbuds, so
mhm.
they had one in, one had the other in.
Okay.
So when I would say something, it would delay. So it would kind of they were in the middle of something. So if I respond, like you do when you're in person, you're like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, right." When I say those little things, it kind of comes through, and then they stop. And so I just shut up. And so they were talking for a good 5 minutes. And then he's like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm fine. I'm listening." Right? Like, dude, yeah, go. Keep going.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
don't mind at all. I don't mind. So I
Cool,
want to
cool.
hear about your, so how did you start or why did you start the event thing? Is it because you wanted to start, hosting more positive type of events, or like what's your plan with the events?
Yeah, I mean, I think for like starting it off, I wanted to bring like more of that positivity to the sport. I think also realistically, there's a lot of event promoters out there. I don't think every event you go to is a world class event.
No,
So our main objective is, it's so many big like name companies out there. You look at like Amazon or Best Buy, multi-billion-dollar companies. Well, they get that way because they call themselves customer centric. So like their priority is always the customer. So like we're doing that same mentality, just obviously with players.
mm,
So what we're looking for is how can we incorporate into our games all of our experiences. So kind of on my team, like I have a guy who owned his own field for 10 years and has run hundreds of events. that has a lot of experiences and perspectives that he's gained over the years. So we're trying to incorporate everything into our events that we feel like people would find that's fun, and then constantly be improving our events over the years and over time to continue to make them. So that way, when people come, we want when people come to our events that they play it, and as soon as it's over, they're telling us that they can't wait until the next one. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's what we're looking for, that ultimate fun factor. So we're also trying to incorporate. So they are MilSim events. They're 12 hours long. There's objectives to do. There's nighttime gameplay. So if you want to run MVGs or tracers, it's there. Everything that we can you can incorporate in a MilSim is there. But it's
Hmm.
also set up in such a way that if you are a beginner, if it's your first MilSim, if you don't want to go run around and pick up a dummy, a down pilot and lug them on your back, you don't have to do those things. You can come out and do that slower gameplay. If you are older, or we working with Special Olympics. If they're coming out, there's going to be people out there that don't have that kind of movement, but the game's still fun even for them, that they can go out and enjoy it, and it doesn't have to be that hardcore MilSim like a MilSim West or something like that. So we try to incorporate all these things that these large event companies do and put it all in one game.
Right.
So we're just trying to maximize the fun, maximize the people that can attend it and enjoy it,
Okay.
and basically overall just build the community around it. Obviously, with this being our first year running events, we're not expecting 1,000 people to show up or anything like that. But hopefully, over time, we're looking to grow into one of those bigger name companies. We're already expanding outside of Pennsylvania. We're moving into running events in New Jersey. I've talked to people from Virginia, New York, Maryland, all over that I've talked to, over the phone, over social media, that,
Yeah.
I've kind of done a conversation like this about, what are we about? What are we trying to do? And, a lot of them that I've talked to, always say that, they talk to these event promoters, they're always saying, these are my demands. This is what I want. This is what you're going to do. And this is what you'll get for it. And I more
Hmm.
try to approach it when I talk to these people is it's like, I want to help you and I want to help me and I want to help the whole community. So how can we make this happen to work together to keep
Yeah.
building this sport and keep building a rapport, and bring new people into it? You know what I mean? I've gone to events or just open play, and like we kind of talked, that toxicity that shows up, that people, crap on rental players or the young kids that are running around with like Lancer tacticals. You know what?
Yeah.
They're the best ones because they're the ones that are growing the sport. Without them, the sport will die.
Yeah.
So, I'm all about incorporating the new players, and that's why we are doing so much with like charity and trying to bring people in, like just for the event side of things, like I'm giving away free tickets to people.
Mm.
To try to incorporate new players coming into the sport and things like that. So I guess that's kind of why I branched out on my own. If that answers the question, again, that was kind of
Sure.
diluted and muddy.
Well, how
Um,
does that? How do you go? So, what's the logistic part of it? Like you. So, let's say you. So, have you already started hosting events?
Yeah,
Have
so
you?
we have one in April, we have one in June, and we have one in September right now on the schedule.
Okay. So,
Um,
have you had one yet that you've hosted?
no, we haven't
Okay.
hosted one yet.
But you've already planned them.
Correct. They're already planned,
They're already
scenarios written,
set.
a little list written. Everything's already set, ready to go. Tickets are for sale for them.
Okay.
Potentially, we're going to be adding a fourth event at the end of the year, which will be a charity event.
And then, so what do you have? So to set up an event like that, you get all your info like on your end set up, like what you want to do, and then what do you do? Start contacting fields.
Pretty much, yeah. And then,
Okay, I
so
gotcha.
like, they really don't want to talk to you unless, like, one, you are established as a business. Two, you have to have insurance. Uh,
Insurance, right?
Three, which is usually they want to know exactly what your scenario is. They want to know exactly what your rules list is, how many people, and then just kind of like your overall, like, what's a general, like, how do you run your event? Is it objective based? That sort of stuff. And then usually it's like, what are you providing? So like they'll be like, are you providing props? Are you providing the chrono stations and blah 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 blah. So like typically, if you're not like ready to answer all these questions, like boom 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 right down in a row, they kind of just pass you off. To be honest,
Hmm.
I mean
Yeah.
that's what I've seen, from my experience. And then of course the big one is always money, which is shitty that we have to be that way, but that always comes down to the field has to make sense for the field to shut down for a day or two. If
Hmm.
they're making 10 grand a day in open play, they're not going to shut down the field for 4 grand from you. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have
Right.
to match it. So that's typically how it kind of goes.
Hmm.
Um, I what I did when I started it off was basically is I formed my business. I wrote my scenarios. got my rules list together, kind of formed everything that I wanted to have, and then, like you said, I just started hitting up fields.
Okay.
So I would call them up, ask to speak to the owner or like whatever. I'd rattle off whatever I was trying to, basically trying to sell them on, essentially.
Right. Sure.
And sometimes it worked out, you know what I mean? And sometimes, I don't want to say anyone told me to fuck off, but I definitely got the I'll call you back. I'm real busy. I'll call you at 7.
Right.
And then like a week passes and you're like calling them back up again. Hey, you never called me. I'll call you. I'm busy. I'll call you at 6. So that kind of stuff
Yeah.
happens a lot. What I've found, the places that I'm running events at and where I want to continue running events at is the people when I talk to them that they get excited. So like if I'm talking to a field owner and I can tell that like he's really not listening to me and he doesn't really care what I have to say, then I've gotten to a point now where I'm like, you know what? Unless it's like the dopest field I've ever heard of, I probably don't
Hmm.
care now to run an event there. Like I want you to show the same energy that I have coming to the event, to make it as best as possible. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, this is we have to meet each other. You know what I mean? Like I'm providing
Right.
X, Y, Z, but you got to meet me too. So if you're not willing to work for it like I am, then it's probably going to fall on its face. So that's kind of like
I
one of the
wonder
things that
if
I
I wonder if that attitude has changed with a lot of field owners in the last few years because of how popular it's gotten, and how they're, a lot of fields have grown. I know some shut down during all
I
lockdown bullshit, but I think, once people start getting out again, they're making a shit ton of money.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely what you just said there is 100% a fact. And the reality of it is, in a lot of places I've talked to, honestly, they're doing events in house. And the reason for that is because a lot of these event promoters are burning them. And when I
Right.
say burning them,
Right.
they're not paying them. They're
Right.
saying they have insurance when they don't.
Hmm.
They're selling tickets under the table to their buddies for $25 and then pretending like they're not there.
Yep.
They're doing a lot of things that are shady, that are just really not what you should be doing as a business. So these field owners, they're not dumb. They
Right.
figured it out. They know there's a scheme being played. Unfortunately, by a lot of these game promoters, and
Sure.
and that's why, like I said, when you talk to him, like if you're not like, hey, I'm a legitimate business, like I'll send you all my business documentation, blah 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 blah. I got insurance. I'll literally give you my policy number right now with the phone. Fact check me. Boom boom boom. I found that to be the most effective way,
Hmm.
to get across to him basically because it's tough. It's a tough market, to be honest. I mean, a lot of people in this industry are very brand like loyal. If you shop at Amp, you're probably going to shop at Amp. If you shop at Evite, that's
Sure.
probably where you're going to shop at. If you play Third Coast Airsoft events and that's all you want to play, well, you're probably not going to leave. Um,
Right.
so,
Well,
and
there's
that's
enough
why,
information out there too, right? There's a lot of information out there you can research. So you can watch videos from, I'm pretty sure most people, but not maybe not newer people, newer players, but most people that are experienced going to MilSims have heard the differences between MilSim West and Third Coast Airsoft events. So most of them, and if they haven't, and if you guys out there, if no one's has heard that difference, let me tell you, if you ever listen to this, instead of research these different milsim companies or whatever, uh, milsim West is a milsim event that you work towards going. uh, it's not something you start out. Don't make that your first milsim that you ever go to. You will, unless you're just out of the like fresh out of the military, and you were, uh, you know, you're in good shape, and you have broken in gear, especially boots, and you're experienced with all this kind of stuff. That is like, the going to Milsim West event is kind of like being in the military for a couple days, like for real, for real. Third Coast, so they have all these different scenarios and or event coordinators that stick to a pretty similar itinerary, I guess, and style that they
mhm.
run, and so it provides a lot of different options for newer players, for players. My two sons, they're in their 20s, but they're overweight. They don't want to run anymore. They played football their whole high school years. Once they get out, they're like, we don't want to do that kind of exercise anymore. So
Sure.
they go
Yeah.
to Third Coast, where they have the option to come off the field and just chill or whatever. Or the playtime is 2.5, 3 hours at a time, and then there's a break. So it's these differences you can look up. You can look up different, get information on like what you're talking about. You can get information to make a decision on some of these events, and then figure out what is best for you. And there's a lot of different, those fields. I'm guessing, like you said, they got burned on a lot of things. I'm sure that's popped up a lot because of all the different things you listed, and these fields are. I can imagine they would host their own events in house because of that. You
Yeah,
know.
I mean, and most of them are. I mean, and to be honest, with the way that I've felt with talking to these people, I don't think they necessarily want to
Yeah.
run them in house because they are a lot of work and it's really
Sure.
expensive. It's extremely time consuming to
Mm,
keep track of all this stuff and write it all down and write all the scenarios and do all the stuff for it. So
yeah.
I don't think they don't want to do it, but I feel like they just don't trust anybody anymore.
Right.
Um, and like you were saying, those big name event companies, they've grown so large and they're playing at these special, locations,
Mm-hmm.
and they're extremely expensive to attend. You know what I mean? You're
Right.
talking 125 to probably $300-400 tickets.
Right.
Um, so and like just kind of backpedaling here, that's why we wanted to take what do these events do really well that people
Mm-hmm.
like, and then incorporate on one and make it a $60 event and play it at a local field where you don't have to travel 8 hours to go and play at, and still have that MilSim lineup where you have a leadership, you have a platoon leader, you have a platoon sergeant, you're organized into your platoons like a MilSim. But if you want to walk off and eat a Snickers, you can, and no
Yeah.
one's going to fault you for it. If you like that semi-auto only, running tracers, running night vision, it's there for you. But at the events, there'll be spotlights because not everybody can afford night vision. So there's going
Yeah.
to be certain areas of the field that are lit up. So if you are that 15-year-old playing your first middle sim without MBGs, you're not just getting fucked up all night by
Right.
a team of 25-year-olds that have been playing for 10 years and they all got MBGs and MTWs just wrecking everybody. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So we're trying to incorporate everything where it's like it's a best of all the worlds mixed into one event, so everyone can be happy.
Yeah. It's funny you brought all those different points up about it because there's I would have never thought of these like smaller event coordinators, like ones I've never heard of, or like yourself, brand new ones.
Right.
Um, I would have never thought all the different, I guess, struggles or obstacles they have to overcome to put on an event. I'm sure a lot of them that have tried doing events and they had good intentions, and then like they're not business owners. They've never were a business owner. They don't know how to do this, set all this stuff up. So they don't know how to manage the money. They don't know how to like make sure, hey, the field has to get this or this has to get, we have to get so many people for that. So it's yeah. When it comes to these type of event things, you have to have things that cost money. So insurance costs money for somebody like yourself that has to get when you have to register as a business, that costs money.
Yep.
When you go to a field, you have to promise or pay up front. I don't know how they do it. If you lease the field out for a day,
99% of these fields, you have to pay them up front.
yep, probably
Usually,
because of the past.
yeah. So from my experience with renting from these fields for a day, your down payment is anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000
Yeah,
down payment up front before they'll even sign a contract with you to run an event. Your insurance cost per event is usually about $2,000
yeah,
that you're going to spend for that. Paying your staff, most refs, they're for a 12-hour event, you're probably talking $200 a guy to ref
hmm
it. Now, if you want to get into more cost stuff, event patches that costs money. You're probably going to spend $500-600 in patches. Of course,
yep,
hopefully you make it back up with people buying them, but it's still an expense. You're looking at like the wristbands you got to put on, the all the paperwork stuff, filing everything. You have to keep track of every single person that's coming in and off the field through your ticket purchases. not only to make the game even, but also for insurance purposes because you have to report that to the field and to insurance.
Right.
Who's all coming out there to it? So I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, and it is very expensive. I mean, realistically, for a day long event that like what we're running, financially speaking, you're just going to spend in total probably $10,000 to $15,000 per event just to run it. Um,
Wow.
so, I mean, you figure if you're charging $65 a head, you better be selling at least 140 tickets
Mm-hmm.
to just break even. But then
Right.
anything after that would most likely be a profit.
Right.
So the events, if you're selling, are very profitable. If you figure if the event caps at 500 people and you have 500 people there, and your limit to sell to break even is 140, so I mean you're making 360 tickets at $65 a ticket. So right there is like what 18 grand going in your pocket from a weekend
Right.
after paying everybody. So it is very profitable, but you also at the same time, do you have the following to sell tickets like that? And
Right.
do you have the money up front to cover these expenses? And if it doesn't sell and you don't make that money back, is the money in your, what are you going to do? Are you going to
Right.
recuperate, in some way and keep going, or are you going to fall flat
Mm-hmm.
on the face? Um, so and that's just the reality of it. And I think a lot of people want to run companies, event companies. I think a lot of people want to have airsoft stores. I hear it everywhere I go that everyone's like, "Oh, I wish I had an airsoft store, and I want to do this,
Yeah.
and I want to do that." And it's like, dude, you hit up Evike as a business and say, "Yo, I'm going to run a retail store." Your first order is 50 grand.
Wow.
So like, I do all my everything that I order is coming from Amped. So like even from Amped, they're my retailer that I'm buying from and then reselling. Um,
Are they in Pennsylvania?
yeah, they are.
That's what I
Um,
thought. Okay.
Even
Because
for
we
them,
we've gotten some stuff from there. Okay.
have you? Yeah. So like even for them, there's no like big minimum order like that, but it's a $750 minimum order. So like if I had no product in stock and you wanted to buy a magazine off me, I don't carry. I can't just be like, "Hey, Amped, I want to buy this one mag, bro." No, you got to spend $750 on this order, and then we'll ship it to you, and you still have to pay shipping.
Right.
So it's not just so easy to just be like, "Oh, I got $500 burning a hole in my pocket. I'm just gonna go ahead and spend this $500 and have a store and run a 500 player game." It is
Yep.
very expensive to get into, which people don't realize. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't realize that it costs that much
Oh, I'm
money
sure.
to go out and do it. So yeah, I mean that's why honestly, like I'm doing something like this is just to try to help spread the word of our events.
Right.
We've taken in a lot of people in sponsorships, a lot of YouTubers, teams, things like that, to
Oh.
basically just try to project it and get it out there. And that's why we're also partnering with so many charities. I mean, not the only reason, but one of the reasons we're partnering with charities is to just help get
Mm-hmm.
our name out there a little bit
Right.
and just stay the course of our mission with what we're trying to do. And just grow the biggest events that we possibly can. But yeah, it's definitely a lot that goes on that you people I'm sure do not realize goes into it.
Yeah, I'm sure, bro. Yeah, that's a ton. Yeah, they hear, they see the success of these, some of these fields in the last, 2 years or whatever, and they think, oh, what? I can still work my full time job. I can, run the field on the weekends, and my open play days. I'm gonna make 10 grand. What? Well, you're not making 10 grand because it
Yeah.
still costs, whatever to
There's a
do
difference
all your
between revenue and what you're actually getting take home,
right.
your net.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said on an event, if I like at my events at $65 a head, if I sold 500 tickets,
Yeah.
my revenue is what 18, 24, so like $25,000 in revenue. I'm not making $25,000. You know what I
Yep.
mean? That was what and paying everybody.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then taxes on top of that.
Taxes on
Obviously you're
top of
running
that.
if you're running a legitimate business, figure 30% in taxes at least. I mean, if not
Right.
more, so, that's coming out too. So there, like I said, there is a lot that goes into that
Mm-hmm.
you have to pay attention to. And like you
Right.
said, informing a business, not that that's an extremely hard thing to do,
No,
but that can be convoluted. You know what I mean? Like, how do you register for it? What do you register as?
you have to know, right, what to call it, what category, what,
Yeah.
whatever.
You got to register it with the federal government, the state, the local. There's quarterly sales taxes you got to pay attention to every quarter that have to be filled out. I mean, there's a lot. that goes on behind the scenes that I deal with on a day to day basis.
Yeah.
Um, even stuff like this, like I do meetings like this, like almost every night of the week. It seems like I'm talking to somebody, or I'm trying to get a hold of a field that I want to run an event at. Like I said, I've talked to fields all over the place, like New York, Ohio. Like I've even talked to fields like all the way down in Texas, talking to them, just like run events there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm doing 10,000 things, and I work full time, so it's definitely a lot.
Yeah. What kind of work do you do?
So after I got out of the service, I was a diesel technician for a couple years. Then I left doing that to take a management position. So now I do project management, and I've been doing that for about 2 years.
On what, construction, like homes?
It's actually like a truck trailer repair
Oh yeah.
thing. Basically, I mean the
Oh
business
shit.
is
Okay.
technically like six different businesses.
Yeah, my buddy
Um,
does that. Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, and we do a lot of different things. That's just the main like thing that I do. So like I do a lot of like estimating, quoting, large projects obviously that come in as a project manager.
Sure.
That could be something like a giant buys a slew of 100 trailers and they want all of their stickers put on them. And they
Mm,
want, some minor work done to them. And I'll build a quote for all that, build a contract, with them, break it all down, schedule it, So I kind of see that process from beginning to end on a large scale.
right. Okay. Yeah, that's so did you like doing the diesel mechanic stuff?
I liked it a lot. To be honest with you, like I worked from like 14 years old all the way up to now. I've always worked like 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Like even in high school, I was working 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
When I was in the military, I was working in the military and working a job outside of the military. I went to college full time while in the military. When I got out, I continued going to college after I got out and working full time. So like even now, like I still work probably 50 hours at my regular job, and I probably work 30 hours a week doing this.
Right.
So like I've worked so much over the last main majority of my life, that turning wrenches every day and like beating up my body, it just became way too much for me. Like I
Oh
started having
yeah.
back issues, and I was like 25, and I was like, there's no reason why I should be this fucked up at 25. Like this is some fucking shit. Um, so like,
did you work on trucks in the military?
yeah, yeah,
Did
yeah,
you? Oh, okay,
yeah,
yeah.
for 6 years, yeah.
Oh God,
Um,
yeah. Climbing
yeah,
up and down, jumping off of that shit sucks.
Yeah, so I just got to the point where I was like, you know what? I can't keep doing this. And I was like, I have
Yeah.
a degree. I'm not using the shit. So I was like, I better just, try to find a job, that I can use my degree and sit at a desk. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And that where I work at now is what's kind of brought me into the realm of like owning my own business and like entrepreneurship because
Gotcha.
it's a small business, and I work very closely with the owner and like our accountants and things like that.
Right.
But like I first started working there, I got into like investing, stocks and real estate and like all sorts of stuff. And I like really kind of expanded my mind really with
Yeah.
like a lot of this stuff on like an intellectual level. And then I kind of just realized like all the stuff you can do with an LLC and like with a business and how much money I said could make
Oh, sure.
running a
It takes
business.
work. It takes a lot of
Um,
work.
and I
Consistent work.
absolutely. And I just like I kind of just thought to myself like I've been working, 70, 80, whatever hours a week for someone else, and I've made people over the course of my life a fuck ton of money. It's
Sure.
like, why am I doing that? Like
Yeah.
when I could just do something myself and make a fuck ton of money. Like
Yep.
so that was how my brain thought.
Uh-huh.
It's just like investing in the stock market. It's not about what you gain today. It's about what you're going to gain in 20 years from today.
Uh-huh.
So that's what kind of got my mind to work to starting a business. And I was just like, what would I want to do, and what do I like, and like I've always had, my parents, of course, taught me the if you love what you'll do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Um, which I don't know, maybe it's true. So I thought, what can I do and own a business that if I were to be able to make a bunch of money, that I could stop working and just do that? What would I really like to do? And I was like, well, what do I like to do now? I was like, well, play fucking airsoft.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's a really good business idea. And then I like thought about it myself more and more and more. And I was like, you know what? I am tired of the toxicity. I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of fucking going to events and paying $125 in the event sucks. Like I'm fucking
Yeah.
tired of it. So now I was like, literally like a spur of the moment one day, I was playing with my buddy Sean. He owned a field for like 10 years, sold it. And we were at an event, we were talking to each other, and I was like, I'm had it with this shit. I should just do my own thing, run my own events, have my own store. And he was like, well, fucking do it, you pussy. And I was like, all right, fine. And then literally like a week later, I was like, yep, my application's submitted to the government for my LLC. I fucking reached out to these people, reached out to this people. And I remember talking to him on the phone. He was like, okay. He was like, I was fucking with you, but okay. And he was like, yeah, we'll run with this. So I was like, all
He's
right,
like,
bet.
you're welcome.
Yeah, pretty much. So, it's just spiraled from there. Um, yeah, so it just like totally spiraled. And, I mean, like, we're definitely not raking in millions of dollars or anything like that. The biggest thing that we're doing right now that's like making money for us is actually selling guns, airsoft guns to police departments. Um,
Or are they
so
going
like,
into that now with for
yeah,
training?
so my buddy who owned a field is also or was a cop for like 13 years. And
Nice.
again, he comes up with the ideas that I'm just a dumb poo poo head. So we were playing again. This is later, like this is months have gone by now, and I've established this. And we were playing, and he's like, "Yeah, Logan, when I was a cop, it would have been fucking sick if we had some of these airsoft guns to play with." And I was like, "Well, you think they'd buy them off me? Like if I just started going around the police departments?" And he was like, "It's worth a shot." So I made some brochures, got some business cards, and I was like, "I'm gonna fucking go to these police departments and take my guns out in the car and be like, yeah, let me show you how to do all this stuff." And you use this stuff for training. Of course, from a military background, I could kind of
Right.
talk their language a little bit with like, clearing rooms and takedowns and being able to actually shoot each other. And again, some police departments basically look at me, laugh, and tell me to get the fuck out. But some of them have been like super cool about it. I go there and I
Right.
talk to, Corporal so and so at the front desk. And they're like, you know what? Let me go get our chief. And the next thing you know, I'm talking to this 60-year-old chief who knows nothing about airsoft, and he's out there shooting
Right.
my MPW, and he's like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!" So
Yeah.
yeah, and doing these orders with them, I mean, that's like one of the biggest things we've gotten to do so far. So it's like I found like a little niche within like airsoft. There's like I don't know anybody who's selling to police departments, at least not in this area. I'm not saying people don't, but and it is weird, honestly.
I've
Like
never
the
heard of it. See, that's the thing is all I've heard of is police departments use simulation rounds. So, and those shoot very differently than airsoft guns. And the rounds are pretty damn expensive from what I understand. So to be able to switch to airsoft, these departments, like I never understood why they wouldn't.
yeah,
Especially for police because you're not shooting fucking, sniper shots like, you're not training sniper shots like 200,
no,
300 yards.
like really where I sell them at is the cost effectiveness.
Right.
Because like I'll go to them and be like, listen, what do you spend on ammunition in a year just for training? And they're like, oh,
Exactly.
40 grand. I'm like, I'll
Yep.
sell you a case of 100,000 BBs right now for $300. And they're like, oh, oh. I'm like, how much is a fucking sim gun? They're like, oh, it's like $1,200. I'll sell you this gas blowback right now for $400.
Yep.
And they're like, oh fuck. I'm like, what's good?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm
for
like,
real.
what kind of pistol do you carry? They're like a Glock 19. I'm like, I got one right here. I'm like, what are your sim ones? Oh, they're $400. This one's 150.
Yep.
They're like, oh my god, no way. The same thing with like grenades, like the EG67s that they can use as like a sim flashbang. Like I start
Bro,
selling them. I'm like, what do
for
you?
real. Those
I'm like,
things are
I'm like, what are your sim flashbangs? They're like, oh, they're like $37 a piece. I'm like, yeah, these are $7. Like I can't make this any easier for you. And they're like, well,
no
we need eye
shit.
protection. And I'm like, I got you.
Now,
I'll sell you eye protection.
have
I'll
you
sell you
had
the face
anybody
protection.
as you're talking to them like on site, uh had you had anybody have you do a demonstration, especially with the grenade?
Yeah.
Did they want to see it? Okay.
Yeah. Like in
That's
the
awesome.
parking lot. It's. I was gonna say like the first two places I went, I didn't think about it. The first place I went to, and I just carried in my gun bags because I was like, oh, it's airsoft. Like I don't like doesn't matter. I just walked into the lobby and like the officer that like saw me come in, I could like see the facial expression, and I was like, oh shit. Um, I just walked into a police department with gun bags. They probably think I'm about to shit themselves with some
A
stuff.
scene in the Matrix, bro.
I
That's
was like,
awesome.
"Oh shit!" And I was like, "This isn't good." And like, I walked up and I almost wanted to be like, "Don't freak out. This isn't a stick up, and I will run out of here fast as shit and drop this stuff. So don't even test me, bitch." Um, but yeah, and then after that, I learned to just keep the shit in the car until they wanted to see it. I mean, like I said, it's like 50-50. Some of them don't care at all, but like, there's been a couple of them that I went to that they were like, they had like their cops coming out, they're all shooting the guns and throwing grenades
Nice.
and stuff. And I was like, yeah, and then on the back end of that, we were selling them stuff. And then at the same time, I'm building up a contract with them to basically repair everything when it breaks. So like
Nice.
I'm making money on the backside too to do
Mm-hmm.
repairs. So it's really just become a win-win for me. And a lot of them want to come out to the events because like on my brochure, it even says like you want to test your skills,
Yeah.
come out and play at one of these 12-hour MilSims. So when they see that, they always ask about it, and I'm like, yeah, like we have cops, we got veterans, we got current service members, and blah
Right.
blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, if you like, you want to test it, like balloon carrying and like fucking people up, like this is your opportunity to get out there and do it. And most of them are like, hell yeah, like that sounds sick.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, so yeah, I think it's like a really good niche that we kind of like got into. So like again, shout out, thanks to my buddy Sean.
Yeah, no shit, right? Well,
For
I
kind of
did a podcast with the guy, Gunfather MilSim is his YouTube channel, and I actually have had him on a couple times. Well, he's a current law enforcement officer in the middle of the country, and he is he's been on there for quite a few years, 13, 14 years, something like that. And when him and I are talking, I think the first time I talked to him, he made a comment about he's talked to his buddies, that he works with. Like they all know he plays airsoft, whatever, and they're like, oh, that's for kids, kind of shit. Even though he shows them like the stuff and whatever. Most of them, I think maybe one of them has played or has gotten into it, but as far as the whole department, they think it's a joke. They think it's like, oh yeah, it's a little playtime. Go ahead. They don't see it
yeah.
as a good training tool. And his YouTube channel is dedicated to bridging that gap, right,
Mhm.
between stuff like that, where the real life and this is used as a training tool, or can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You said it right there, bridging the gap. And
Yeah.
a lot of them I talk to, they're like, "Oh, I don't want, we don't want that plastic shit," and basically like these old school like Walmart guns. And I'm like, "Listen, give me fucking 5 minutes of your time, and I guarantee you, I'm going to show you an M4 that you're going to think is real, and you're going to hold it and think it's real. I'm going to show you a Glock that works just like your Glock for
Yeah.
like a third of the cost of what you're spending right now. Give me 5 minutes." And then, like I said, sometimes I basically get like laughed out of the building. They're like, "Fuck off, little boy, go play." Um, and sometimes it's cool, Some,
That's
like I
part of it.
said,
That's part of
sometimes
it.
they're about it and then they like it, and they think it's super cool. And the biggest thing I've noticed with it is like they don't realize how like real and intricate the guns have gotten now. They're like. Like I said, like 50, 60 years old. And they're like, I remember when my son played, and it was the clear
Yep.
plastic gun with 4 AA batteries, and it shot 10 feet. It's like, and I'm sitting there, like I said, with an MTW, and I'm like, I bet you if you walk 100 yards out, I'll dome you. And they're like, oh my God, they've just gotten so good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's just become a really awesome thing that, like I
Well,
said,
that's how we started our YouTube channel the same way because two of my older sons got into it, and I was laid up. I was stuck in the house, and I heard them talking about going to play airsoft. I'm like, what? Like they were like 20, early 20s at the time, or mid. One of them was in mid 20s, and I'm like, what? Okay, like what are you going to a kid's party or something? Like is Johnny having a cousin, his one of your younger cousins or something? You guys are just going to play in the backyard? What are you doing? I didn't know. I had no clue about airsoft. So my mindset was when I bought them when they were 10 and 12, same thing,
mm-hmm.
little clear things, and I'm like, so when they came out, Johnny had brought over JP on our channel, had brought over one of his whatever M4s or whatever, and took the orange tip off. He'd already upgraded a bunch of shit on it, and anyway, so I started realizing, holy shit, these things are awesome. So I was like, let me film all this. I'll start a YouTube channel on it, and that was that was it. But yeah, I
Mhm.
had no clue either, so I was amazed.
It's crazy. Like you said, I remember like before I went into service, not that the guns were shit, but they definitely weren't like they are now. And then when I
Yeah,
got out and I came back, I was like, what happened? Like
yeah,
everything just like got like on steroids. And it like blew my mind. I was like, holy shit. And like
yeah.
that's what really got me back into it again was like, and that's my play style too. Like I'm kind of like a fat aggressive guy in the sense that like I want to be right up there at the fight, but then like once I get to the fight, I'm like, okay, that's good. Like stop the push here. That's what I like about playing. For me, like I do like the objectives and stuff like that, but like I personally, for me, in game, just to make sure we're lit on YouTube, in game, I like killing people in game. Shooting people. That's what I'm
Oh, you're
about.
good, man.
Um, you know,
I don't
so
really
that's
care
what
if
I
they
enjoy.
if they don't think it's the right whatever. I don't give a fuck. There's so many people on here that we're talking. They're like, yeah, man, this guy just slays. He is a dead ass killer, man. Like, especially the speed softers I talk to. They're like, oh man, this guy is a straight up killer. He just loves going out there and killing, and he kills this dude, and he kills. All he does is just go out there and kills. And I just laugh, 'cause it's the terminology.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
hell yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I just got off on a little tangent there, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with when I play.
Yeah, for sure. So the event thing is a is a big step. It sounds like to get into if you want to have it long term and have a good reputation. Because if you go to a field, your first event, and it's pretty shitty, and the field
Mhm.
owner is doesn't feel like they've got their like it wasn't good experience. Um, you're kind of because a lot of them talk.
Oh yeah,
Uh, yeah, so it's gonna you start getting a bad reputation right away. You're gonna that's gonna end really quickly
yeah. I mean, that's a
unless
huge
you
thing I've
have
noticed.
somebody that has land.
Yeah, the networking that is involved in this game is insane. So like all these people are connected in some shape, way, form. You just whether you realize it or not.
Yeah,
And like I've talked to so many fields, and then like I talk to a field, and then I call a different one a week later. They're like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of you." I'm like, I sincerely doubt it. They're like,
what?
"No, we've heard of you." I talked to Mark over here at this field. I'm like, "Bruh, okay." And I'm like, I don't like this. Like, why? Quit talking about me. um, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely very much so that way. And like, and I think again, if it's all about presentation and that perception that you give them.
sure.
That initial intake. It's kind of like buying a house. If it looks real
Yeah,
good on the outside, it's probably going to sell because people don't want to go look on the inside.
right.
So that initial presentation that you did makes a big difference. And from my experience, I'm playing or I'm hosting events at fields that I know other event promoters got turned away from.
Hmm.
Because I talk to these field owners on a regular basis. They text me. They're tagging me on Facebook stuff now and blah 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 blah. So we're trying to build that rapport, and like luckily I had some of it with my YouTube channel, as like being a pretty nice guy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so it's definitely helped me out. There's
Yeah,
definitely, I mean, I don't want to say I've burned bridges, but I mean, there's definitely people I'm sure that don't like me.
sure.
But
You're always
Cat,
gonna have that.
yeah, I was just going to say, Cat Williams, a comedian, and he's funny as shit. But he has a skit that he says, if you have 15 haters, you need to quit crying and figure out a way to get to fucking 20 before the week's out. And and if there's any haters in here that are looking for somebody to hate, he's like, fucking hate me.
Yeah,
And when you like hear that at face value, you're like, what the fuck is he talking about? But I've like realized like as I've gone through life, like not even through like airsoft, like if I have haters, then I must be doing something right for them to hate me.
yeah,
And I definitely even have it now. You know what I mean? Like I've gotten messages, from people being like, your fucking events are gonna suck. I hope it fails. Like fuck you, blah 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 blah. Your shit.
Jesus.
Oh,
You haven't even done an event yet. What the fuck?
like on a weekly basis, I've gotten these messages from fucking people.
I
Like,
wish I would get okay. I wish I would get some negative fucking comments on my YouTube videos because I want I just want a little bit of like, you know, fuck you kind of shit,
Yeah.
directed at me. Like, what what do you got? Well, I don't get the negative comments because nobody watches our shit, so we're not out there enough. So that's what it is.
No, that's all right, dude. Everyone's got to begin somewhere.
Oh yeah. That's my goal though. I'm really wanting some people to like, come on. I want some truth here. What is it? What do I need to change, I like
Yeah.
improving. So it's hard to be your own coach. Now it's easier with videos because I can look at this, I can watch film, right? Like we used to in
Yeah.
football. I can watch this and go, yeah, I hear myself talk and I should have asked this or I should have asked that or why didn't I ask this or why did I ask that? Whatever. Or I should have shut up, at this point. But anyway, so yeah, that's well, at least you're doing something that
Yeah.
you're getting attention.
I think the reality with that is the biggest critic has to be yourself. And
Hmm.
like I've noticed with things, you know, people will hate on anything that you do in life, and
Right.
it's taken me a while to like kind of accept that. And like I didn't really accept that until like I started working at the company I'm at now, and I've gotten coaching. And like that's one of the biggest things I've also learned too is like everyone wants to progress and like get that big top dollar salary, but like you have to be coachable to like get to that point.
Sure.
And I haven't always been that way my whole life, and like I feel like I got to
Gotcha.
the point now. And with the current owner that that owns the company I work for now, and his story was like very similar. Like he started that business when he was like 19 years old, has built it into what it is now, and now
Damn.
we're a multi-million-dollar company,
Right.
built it from the ground up over 20 years. And I told him one time about like how I got messages about this, or like I posted a YouTube video up, and 5 minutes into the video being posted, someone tells me my fucking aim is shit, my gun's shit, my camo pattern doesn't match, like whatever, you know what I mean? So he's like, "Fuck you," and like I tell him that shit, and I one time I was telling him, and he just started dying laughing, right? And
Yeah.
he was like, "Logan," he was like, "I don't care about those fucking people anymore." Because he was like, "You know what I do with that shit?" He's like, "When I was younger, that shit used to fuel me up and make me want to just go out there and just do fucking more and be better." And
Right.
he's like, "I've reached a point now where like people talk shit to me, and he's like, I don't give a fuck anymore." He's like, "Because you know what? I won." He's like, "What? Look what I fucking built." He was like, "I don't have to work. I got money in my bank. I got a fucking nice house." And he was like, "People have hated on me for 20 fucking years." He's like, "And they're still doing the same shit they were doing 20 fucking years ago. And they
Right.
still work at the same fucking place, not doing shit." And he was like, "And here I am." So he's like, take that shit, make it fuel, and in 20 years, if you just keep your head down and keep fucking pushing, you'll be saying the same shit I'm saying."
Right.
So like ever since he kind of told me that, that's like all I do now. Now I'm just kind of like, I don't say I put the deflectors up, I read it, I digest it, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna type this all out and tell you to fuck yourself, but I'll do better in the next video and basically low key tell you to fuck yourself.
Yeah, that's that is right. That is yeah, that's I think maybe that's why we've had a handful of negative comments here and there over the last 3 years, whatever we've done videos, and I took care of the channel, so I saw all the comments, and
Hmm.
so I think maybe that's why I feel like we haven't had negative comments is because most of them I don't feel like are really that negative. Like they're like I've had people say, well that was boring, or well that didn't work, or something like that. Like
Yeah, yeah.
um, and to me I'm going, uh, you know, like I don't mind constructive criticism. I'm very, very,
Mhm.
very teachable. So uh, I really don't get my one feeling hurt. So it's it's like I don't and I don't really get embarrassed very much. So I'm like I don't know, man. Like, hey, yeah, that's cool. You know,
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know what
I look at it like that too. I
As long
mean,
I think if you're really really convicted, or you have that conviction of about what you're doing, if you are really focused on your purpose and what you've decided to focus on and what you've decided to move forward on, and you believe in what you're doing, if you believe in what you're doing, then you're really unswayable. You're untouchable with that. You're not the leaf blown in the wind. You're not going with the tides of opinions of people, right? The social media thing. Like I see these these people online, or the people, they've had TV shows about it, where even documentaries, where they somebody just attacked me online. Well, what did they do? Well, they said I was fat. Like they did this, and they said you're a cunt, and you're a slut, and I'm like, and but did you die? And like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like, what? Why are you taking these opinions to heart? Like so many, just to I can't relate, honestly. So I don't. I mean, I was talking with somebody recently who has a business, and they said, we were chatting, and they said, I talked to this whatever company or whatever one time, and it was, we got rejected basically, and that really hurt. And I'm like, well, that all that means is you don't believe enough in what you're trying to, in what you're selling. That's it. These are
Mhm.
basic selling, rules. How to win friends and influence people. That's probably the starter book for every salesman out there. I know there's newer ones that are probably more condensed and better worded or whatever, but and videos as well. But they cover those same points. But that book by Napoleon Hill is one that I started out with when I started when I wanted to start my own business. This is 25 years ago, and same thing. It was, read these basics. You build your belief in what you're selling, and then you have no problem selling it. Then it really doesn't feel like you're selling it to somebody.
Yeah.
You're really just, hey, I believe in this thing, whatever it is, service, product, whatever. So,
It's funny to me that you bring up books because I'm a book nerd myself, and like
okay.
reading like Marcus Aurelius's memoirs. I
Mm.
don't know if you've read that. The 48 Laws of Power.
Hmm.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. You start getting into some of these different books.
Robert Kiyosaki, read that one.
And that's kind of like I said, working for this job and being around these entrepreneurs and these people that are, basically in a big corporation to be like CEOs and VPs, and just learning how they think.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you just touched on. So like they are so ingrained like with the company that like they truly like to their fucking bones
Yeah,
believe
dude.
in what we're doing, and
Hmm.
they just push it and push it and push it, but they've
Right.
got that knowledge and the experience and the know-how to fucking work the angles and do all this other shit. And like that's one of the biggest things that I learned coming into management with these guys, that like when I worked on the floor I always felt like management was out to fuck me, like you know what I mean, and you don't see what's going on around the background. And then it's like now that
Right.
I'm in management, it's like, dude, there's fucking 10,000 moving parts. And like, if I would have handed this shitstorm to you the way I received it, you'd fucking quit. Like,
Yeah.
I have nurtured and babied this for 3 months to get this to this product for you.
Hmm.
And that's all like that personal investment, like skin in the game. Um, and I think that with working here that I have been, and reading and doing research and just watching YouTube, dude. Like YouTube is
Right.
like just a wealth of knowledge. Like I feel like you could literally get a fucking degree off of YouTube
You
at this
can.
point.
People
Um,
have. It's
I
fucking nuts.
I swear to God, just watching videos for
Especially
free.
the ones where like where all you need is a certification. Like
Yeah.
you just take the test. So I think there's a couple of them in um, well, definitely the one for coding for Microsoft.
Hmm.
If you want to get Microsoft certified, it's just a test. You don't have to have some kind of credits. Hey, here's the test. If you pass it, you got the certification. If you don't, whatever. And it's the same thing I think with I'm not gonna remember it, but the company, God, I can't even think right now. The company that set up the internet, basically. You know, they're the ones that actually did the logistics with the boxes and the cables
Okay.
and the uh,
I have no idea who the fuck that is.
I
I'll be
can't.
honest with
Well,
you.
anyway, it's a big name company. You'll know it if you ever, if you hear it. But there's a certification for them as well. I
Okay.
started reading that book. They had a. This is probably 15 years ago. The book's like that thick, and it's
Oh,
about the
wow.
size of a encyclopedia. Um, but it covers everything about Ethernet. The all the shit, right? All the terminology and all that shit. So, but anyway, you can get certified from watching videos on, like, there's so many people that you can, follow and watch. And
And fucking just learn from in general. Like
yeah,
I listen to so many podcasts throughout the day, like through my work. Like luckily I have the office job where I'm able to do that.
right,
And I listen to these podcasts all day long, and some of it's, business, entrepreneurs or business people.
right,
Sometimes it's like, investing and money, and like the same thing I just keep coming back to that people like I keep reaffirming is like the three things I always say is like number one is focus. Like,
yep,
you listen to fuck the dude that runs oh my god, Berkshire Hathaway. Anyway, rich ass dude runs Berkshire Hathaway, CEO, multi billions. The basic thing he says is like focus. Like you have to be 100% focused and attentive on whatever it is you're working on, whether you're working
yeah,
for a company or running your own business. Because everything is believing in yourself and believing in your company. Like if you're not 100% sold on what the fuck you're doing, like you said, then someone else isn't going to get sold on it either. And then
no,
the third thing is just fucking persistence.
yep,
It's like you constantly have to keep knocking on the door. And like one of the things that they talk about in one of the podcasts I like to listen to a lot is like for every time that you want a yes, you're probably for every time as you want a yes, you're gonna get 9 no's.
yeah,
And it's like that is so fucking true. Because like
yeah,
I said, talking to these fields, if I call 10 fields tonight, one will say yes, and they won't
that's
say
right,
yes. It'll be a maybe.
yeah. That
And
is so true. And what's weird is about humans, and about this statistic, it's not just in sales. Well, I guess it is in sales if you count, if you're kind of vague with that term. But so this goes across the board for, for sales. So if you want to do cold calls, you're doing, for, like you said, every 10, you're going to get one or two that say yes. That doesn't mean you're getting that sale. That
yeah,
means they'll listen, right?
yeah,
You're going to get, if you host a party, in families, when we have big parties, if you invite 50 people, you're going to get half that show up. That's just, or maybe less, and it depends. But in general, those rules apply to so many different things. When I did sales, I did, knocking on doors, years ago. And then I also did knocking on business. I went to business to sell, business supplies, right? Like cleaning supplies and shit like that. And so I'm talking to business owners who are very busy, especially restaurant owners,
yeah,
small business owners. And it is, you've got to get your point across very quickly, and you have to believe in what you're selling them. Because if they're like, well, I can get it cheaper over here, whatever. Like that's the most common thing, right? And
yeah. I
I've
already got
heard
somebody
people,
that does that.
yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of people that start a business, and maybe I'm not sure about, if it's just an airsoft or whatever, but I've heard so many people say, well, I'm not. Well, even I've heard a lot of airsofters say this on for their YouTube channels. I have a YouTube channel, but I'm not really trying to make money on it. And I'm like, well, then why did you monetize it? Why did you turn the monetization on once you hit that threshold of, 1,000 subs and 4,000
Mhm.
hours or whatever? Well, I mean, yeah, it's fine if I make something on it, whatever.
You
Um,
have to believe in yourself, dude, and that's the reality of what it
yeah,
is. I mean, too many people will
exactly.
sit there and say, "I don't give a fuck," I'm just throwing
I
videos up
think
there.
people
But
are
one
afraid to
thought,
say, there's so many people that are afraid to say making a profit is good. Like,
mhm,
if you're a business owner, you should never say, when you're trying to sell your product or service to some, to another, to a business, another business, or whatever, or to a customer, you should never say, well, I don't really make any money on this, because that totally degrades your shit. If you don't believe in it enough to make money
mhm,
on it, and to, make it successful, we're not going to believe it and buy it from you. So that should never be in your vocabulary. Like, yes, I do make a profit. It's okay. Like,
yeah,
the better I do, if I'm selling a product or service, the better the product or service is going to be for you on the buying end.
yeah,
Because we're going to make it better. Yeah. So it's so funny how people are so weirded out about making money. You know?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's 100% true. I mean, I don't. I mean, I feel like at times for me, it's like I feel like I just don't believe in myself enough because, like, I've found with people that like I think this is a military thing, and like I've been told this for years that like
Yeah,
I can come off like very overbearing, very
sure.
overconfident, like very much like almost like a know-it-all. And it's like, and like I over years, like I've almost suppressed it. And like I feel like now with doing this, it's like starting to come back up again. And like I've really reflected on it a lot because I don't want to come off as like a complete dick or something like that. But it's like,
Yeah,
no, the difference is like I fucking believe in myself. Like I know I can work. I
right.
know I can sell. I know I can convince myself, and I can fucking convince you too.
Yep.
And so for me, it's like I know I have the capability to do this, and now I just got to let it out. And sometimes that comes out, very much so like dickish, like I have the best shit,
Yeah,
blah 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 blah. Which I try not to be perceived as that type of person, but
right.
it's definitely there. But you almost have to have that because if you don't, and even when like I talk, like I'm pretty loud. I don't know if it's coming through here, but like I am a loud talker. I use these bad boys a lot too.
Yeah,
Lots of this.
that's good.
I'm very animated, and like I'm like that at work too. And I talk about that like when I do interviews. That like you get those kids, not even just kids, adults, dude. They're coming in and just well, and at my last job, sometimes it's like, no, I don't fucking want you. Like, I want the guy that comes in and he's like, yeah, my last job, I did this, 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 and this, 100%. I can
Yep.
fucking outwork you. I'll run circles around anybody up in this bitch right now. And you're like,
Yep.
that's the fucking guy I want to hire. How much do you want?
Exactly.
25? Sold.
That's
Check
it.
them the fuck out. Let's go. Like
That's
that's
it,
the guy
bro.
I want. And
I'm
it's
same
like,
way. I have the same personality type, same exact personality type, and I did the same thing. I suppressed it as well for so many years. Because I heard this, it would cause in the family basically. That was the only time. Because at work, most of the guys I worked in factories, for 20 some years. So these guys are like Harley guys. They're not getting their feelings hurt either. So if we get an argument about opinions, they don't fucking care. They're not going to be like, they're not going to be like mad at me the next day. They're gonna be
mm-hmm,
like, man, we can say, end the argument with "fuck off," "fuck you," and the next day or 10 minutes later, hey, I need you to work on this mold, or work on this die or whatever. Like, it's done. Like, it doesn't matter. But when you're around weak-minded or emotionally weak people
mm-hmm,
that are constantly worried about what everyone else around them thinks,
yep,
right? They're always seeking others' approval. That's where your energy kind of is like taken as arrogance, and it's really
yeah,
not. And it's
yeah,
they're afraid, they can't stand people raising their voice. And I talk loud as well. Like, this is how I talk most of the time. I talk loud as well. And so when I start getting like this, when I start talking like this and animated, like, people that are like that, they start backing away. They don't want to listen. They want to change the subject. They'll cut you
yeah,
off, like at a family function. Someone will just interrupt you and change the subject, which fucking pisses me the fuck off because I'm trying to
yeah,
finish my point, okay?
yeah,
And the only reason that you're changing the subject and trying to stop me is because you don't like my presentation, like my voice, my tone of voice, how I'm moving, my facial expressions, all this stuff, whatever that is, it triggers them, or it like this kind of
and
thing,
your
and I'm
persona's
like,
scary.
bro, I don't want to be around you anyway, so just get away, okay? So go in
Yeah,
the corner and talk to somebody else.
I'm the same way. I am. Like I've noticed it too, and like I noticed it before too when I was younger, and I don't know how else to explain. I mean, you really did sum it up pretty good. I mean, I feel like there's just too many fairies, and then if you're not one of the fairies, you're considered like an alpha male or whatever the fuck the kids
Yeah.
call them, a beta male,
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
the fuck they say now, their
Right.
lingo, and they look at you like you're some toxic dick, and it's just like I'm not. I just fucking was raised like my dad was a Marine. I was raised that fucking way. I was in the
There you
service.
go.
Like I was built this way,
Right.
and if that hurts your fragile fucking feelings, then I guess I'm sorry. But I mean, that's
You
just
know,
how.
I think that too, when you spend time in the military, especially active duty, you're there 24/7, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
you're around this kind of environment. Most people that you're around are like this. They're not, you might not have the same exact personality, but the environment is kind of intense. Like the training, the expectation, it's very rigid, right? Like,
Oh
even if
yeah,
you're not, uh, you know, fucking running and gunning every day, from 5 in the morning till, 10 at night or whatever, you're still expected to, you can't be late or you're getting in, big trouble. Okay. Uh, Bigger, it's not just like a normal job.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
so you're
I
used
think
to that.
I think the military 100% is that be in the right place at the right time in the right fucking uniform mindset. And like
Yeah.
you said, everyone you're around, 99% of them think like you, act like you, because they experience everything that you did, most
Yep.
likely, at least
And
in the
they know the
military.
expectations.
The expectations are fucking set. And you know you're
Yeah.
supposed to be. So like, it's funny too. So like when we started this, I'll be honest too, like I cuss a lot. A
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
I didn't know if you cussed or not. You started cussing. I was like, okay, we're gonna get along pretty good. I can't even begin to tell you how many times in workplaces and like even in my videos, because like in my airsoft videos, I cuss. And people are like, oh, that's
Same.
terrible for this or terrible for that. And it's like, dude, that's like my language. Like I can't turn it. I can't turn it off. Like
Not, I'm not turning it off.
it's like when I talk to people, I'm like, I want you to understand, like, if I said fuck or something like that, like, I'm not mad. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not angry. I'm not saying nothing negative to you. Like, that's just a word to me. Because, like, in my house when I grew up, if my dad said 3 sentences to me, guaranteed fuck was in there 6 times. And then when I was in the service, every other word out of everybody's mouth was fuck. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I swear constantly. And like I've noticed it too, like even now in my management position, like I'm holding a meeting and I let a swear word slip, and I'm like, oh, excuse me, you know what I mean? Like I didn't mean to say that,
Right.
but like, I just once I start talking and I get like this, and I'm animated. I'm like, yeah, and like we're gonna fuck around over here and adjust fire, and we're gonna come over here, and I'm like, oh my god, I just talked like I was back in the military again. I'm so sorry, everybody. Like that was fucked up. I mean, shit. You know what I mean? And
It
I
really
can
is like that.
turn it off.
I do that with my mom once in a great while. When I was younger, I never slipped. Even when I was, I'd come home on leave, I would never slip. And, I was always, because I was still it was still fresh. I'm 52, so I'm older. And my mom, when we talk on the phone now, I've been talking this way for so long, so it'll slip as well. And I'm like, oh, sorry about that. And I just move on because, it's that, hey, that's your mom, it's like respect thing.
Yeah.
So, but I remember not long ago, uh, my wife and I were talking. We had this little spat. It's like a few months ago, and I said, "Jesus, quit being such a cunt." You're being so cunty, right? And she goes, "What? Don't call me that. What the fuck?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, that is such an accepted word in the UK." And I was playing video games. I was talking with people in the UK at the time, and that's like every other word is cunt. So I was like, that is like other girls call other girls like their girlfriends, like just friends. Man, oh, stop being a cunt. Like that is a normal word for them.
Yeah.
It's like us saying, hey, quit being a bitch or quit being a dick.
Yeah.
So anyway, she never believed me. We watched this movie not long ago where these people were in the UK and they all jumped in this car and they were talking there. All these girls were laughing and like, oh, you're such a cunt, and they were calling each other cunt. And I said, see, I fucking told you.
Yeah. 100%, dude.
That's so funny.
I still talk to so many of my military friends that I was in the service with, and like they're all still the same too. Like they all cuss, they're all alpha males. We all yell at each other. Like
Yeah.
it's the same shit that it was 5, 6 years ago when I was in.
You
So
can be yourself. It's
yeah,
nice.
nothing has changed, and like not to get like all weird about it, but like you, my buddies, and I talk. We're like, what makes the F word offensive? Like
Right.
somebody created the word fuck and said that's a bad word. It's like, so what if I just say table is now a bad word? And
Right.
everyone's like, that's so offensive. Like, it's not, bro. It's just a fucking word. Like, it is just a word. It's up to you to decide if
Yeah.
it's going to let you be offensive to you.
And the
And
more
like,
you
that's
hear
the
it,
whole,
the less offensive it is.
yeah, and like that's the whole
It really
fairy
is.
thing to me. And it's like, dude, I've been yelled at like in the regular world and the military so bad to the point that you'd probably cry and like just called everything that like sucks in life. And I was just
Yeah.
like, bruh, okay. I don't care.
That's how my kids are, bro. They're like, they start, if they start a job or something, they get, if somebody yells, they just look at them like, uh huh.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're totally used to it. Like it doesn't even like stress them out.
I've been told at work, so like this is a legit thing too. Like I've been told at work that everyone's like, yeah, yeah, when like shit goes bad, or like, I work with techs every day, and like most
Yeah.
of them are like those backwoods, like grease monkeys that do get in your face, and they're like, yeah, when like shit goes down, you're like the only one that just stands there and like just stares them right in the fucking eye, and I'm like,
Right.
because I'm just like, fuck, dude? Like, I know, bitch. Like, swing.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
you can't
they're
think
not
like
going
that.
to. That's
No,
the thing.
no.
They're allowed to vent. It's okay to vent. And I think so many people are suppressed or have been, suppressed, with their venting. They're not allowed to vent. It's like, bro, you're allowed. It's okay. Like, just,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, if we're standing in the middle of a restaurant waiting to get seated, don't vent there. How about that? Have
yeah,
some, don't be socially awkward. If you're at home and there's a bunch of people over, go in the bedroom, stick your face in a pillow. Like we used to do that all the time. My mom was like, if you need to yell, go put your head, like just go in the other room.
yeah, yeah,
Like you're allowed to let it out. It's okay. Like we're human.
yeah,
It's fine. I think like you know that's why I was talking with I was talking with somebody yesterday about this about these the ban list on for airsoft field like field owners,
yeah,
like they start making a ban list for people. And we were we talked about this for a minute. I was like, I don't if I owned a field, I would be really lenient with the ban thing because, like, number one, I don't even know if I would call it a ban. And she was saying, yeah, why not just like suspend them, like be a suspension? But it would have to be super really bad, like to be banned. Like
yeah,
you started beating somebody with your gun, okay, okay, bro, like you went way fucking beyond,
yeah,
way
yeah, yeah,
beyond.
yeah.
Um, but when two teenagers, like teenagers, you're your testosterone's going crazy, your hormones are going crazy, male or female, whatever, and you're just all social issues or whatever, and then you go to the field and it's competitive, and then it starts getting escalated because somebody didn't call or hit, 5 times in a row, whatever, and then somebody started full autoing, it just escalates. These are normal circumstances. Like to me, I'd be like, all right, y'all, are you done now? Are you done fighting? It's okay.
Yeah.
You yelling at each other or whatever. If somebody swings, fine, whatever. If you didn't fucking, bash their head in with something, like use a weapon, then it's fine. I mean, I grew up with fighting. It was normal. Okay. We all
Mhm.
got in fights. We got in fights in school, in high school,
Yeah.
and nobody got in trouble. The teachers would come out and be like, hey, now get to your class. That was
Mhm.
it. We go there with a fucking bruised cheek, They don't do that now. But
No.
fucking cops and shit. But it's like, they call the cops and then you're going to jail, like somebody's
Yep.
pressing charges, a lawsuit, whatever. So I don't know, man. It's you should be allowed to vent, like airsoft. I think a lot of people with the MilSims, I think that's why they choose MilSims over open play maybe, is because you have it's a bigger commitment financially, planning wise, like getting gear, getting the right uniform. You have to be more mature, older
Mhm.
and more mature, so you go there, you're not going to have that bullshit drama that you would have at a normal field, you know what I mean?
I mean, it's you. You 100% still have the bullshit drama. I hate to say it. I mean, I've been to events and like I was at an event 2 years ago, and a dude threatened to
Yeah.
stab somebody. Like, so I mean, it's still there, dude. Like the
I
man
mean, is
following.
that really a threat though? Like, I'm gonna cut you, like that's a joke, right?
I don't know. I mean, I was kind of like my ears just perked up, and I was like, someone's about to fucking get it.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Hey, come here, let's go
everyone
watch.
around me, all the fairies around me were like, "Oh my god, what the fuck, my blind man?" So I was like, "All right." Well, things almost got fucking interesting for a second. Yeah, I mean, it's 100% still out there. I think the reality of it is, truthfully, in my opinion, is we have catered so much over the last 20 years to
Yeah.
people. The school system has, parents
Hmm.
have, and
Yeah,
we are seeing the residuals of that shit right now to the
that's true.
max.
Yeah.
And I think the reality of it is too, if you look at like airsoft players from my experience, I'm not saying it's everybody, this isn't a blank statement, but like I've noticed personally a lot of the people that play airsoft, and I'm not talking about the kids. I'm talking about now if you talk about
Right.
adults. They're the I almost joined guys. They're
Oh,
the
military.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
like the fucking high speed, low drag, fucking top of the line, everything, matching uniforms, the most
Yeah.
expensive kit with real plates in to simulate fucking combat. You know,
Sure.
so like I feel like the people that do go out and spend that money, They just have this thing in their mindset that like they're just the fucking best. So like when they do get shot, or somebody says they're not hitting them, and that's where I've seen events where like the
Oh,
clash
okay.
usually fucking happens. When you get like two almost like alpha males within airsoft,
Yeah,
that's usually when I see it like kind of fucking connect at the MilSim
gotcha.
games.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, at open plays, it usually is some bullshit kiddies thing that goes on,
sure.
adrenaline type stuff. But it still happens, unfortunately, at MilSim events. I hope at ours we don't have these issues. I mean, I don't want to
Well,
hear
I was
some.
going to ask you, the on your events that are coming up next year. So in a few months, you'll have your first one. The Have you seen or heard of the system called skirmish?
No, I don't think so.
So this is it's a tracking system,
Oh,
I
okay.
guess is what you call it. Points, right? Point tracking system. Uh, so basically, so you've been to MilSims, right? You've been to
Yeah,
certain events where there's objectives to take over, that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
And then you've been to open plays like either indoor or outdoor fields, whatever. So the
yeah.
way this system works, and the reason I'm talking about it is because I did a podcast with the guy that started it, this business, okay, Skirmish, and I'm very interested in seeing this system deployed on MilSims. Right now, he's got it in a handful of indoor fields for Speedsoft.
Okay.
And what it does is it's a RFID, I think, yeah, RFID system. So he has a box that him and his buddy have created. They built the circuit board, they built the box. It reads this. So when you get your own bracelet, you buy a bracelet, uh, and it's got a serial number on the back. You tag that serial number when you go online on the website. You create your profile and attach this bracelet to that. Now, anywhere I play, if I take this to wherever, whatever state in the whatever no, it doesn't matter where, whatever field has this system set up, it logs my points in as I play. Now, the way they do MilSims, and the reason I'm asking you about it because you're about to start some, these events with objectives and things like that, and
Hmm.
that's where this system I think would be really, really good and exciting for somebody like myself that can't be at the MilSim, let's say, but I want to see the progress. Okay. I want to see, because right now, nobody does that. There's not one MilSim in the world that you can go online and watch progress like a 3-day MilSim. You can't
Yeah,
watch who's winning up to date. Okay.
yeah,
Unless somebody goes on and manually posts it, right?
right.
From that event holder or somebody else or whatever. So this, you don't have to do that. It captures everything in real time. So when you go capture an objective, you get points, just like you do at a MilSim. Most MilSims, they have that little box where you switch the timer, okay,
Hmm.
back and forth to your team or their team or whatever. Same type of thing as far as, concept like what you'd be seeing. So you captured it, okay. You hold it for X amount of time or whatever, these points build up. It's it updates live in real time on their website for whatever event these systems are used at. Okay, so it's a very interesting concept to, and not only that, these boxes are programmed. You can program them in 100 different ways. So spawn points, penalty boxes. We were talking about something like that with. In fact, I talked about something like that with this girl last night for Speedsoft, because the NSL, who does competitive, they just came over here from the Netherlands. They do competitive Speedsoft. They have penalty boxes, kind of like hockey. If you get penalized, you sit out, that kind of shit. So these boxes could be programmed for whatever you want on your MilSim field. So if somebody's caught cheating and you want to put them in timeout, right? They go scan in, and it counts down a timer, whatever, that kind of thing. Or it takes points away from their team. Uh, if you capture an objective, you get points. If you respawn, whatever, it counts all that stuff. And then you get individual points as a player on the skirmish system. So and there's a national or a worldwide leaderboard that is running right now, that's been running since it started. And you can see who's at the top of the leaderboard, whatever, in real time. But I'm really curious to see what MilSim or event coordinator is going to implement this system first, because no MilSim has done it yet. And he's talked to a handful of them, but they're busy. They're kind of set in their way with what they're using already,
Yeah.
and they don't want to change.
I am 100% interested. Yeah, honestly, I would just say hook me up with this guy. I'll talk to him. The only thing that would
Absolutely.
think would be concerning with it is getting the wristbands for everyone to wear and getting people to actually wear them would
Hmm.
be the number one. And then two, obviously, either one, I'd have to incorporate it in the ticket price, or two, I'd have to make them buy them. And I don't know what they cost.
He knows all that shit already. I don't know any of that stuff. I'm not actually partnered with him
Right.
on this. Honestly, I don't. We didn't. I did a podcast with him. That's it. And I was so intrigued and interested with how this system works, that I'm trying to push this system.
He
I don't
sold
get
you on
shit.
it. He sold
I
you
mean,
on it.
yeah, for real.
I
So
got you.
I'm gonna tell you what happened, bro. Okay, so kind of like what you did after you got out of the military. You come back and you're going, "What the fuck happened to these airsoft guns? They're on steroids." Like, oh my god. Now I was impressed as well with the equipment. What I'm not impressed with, and what I'm shocked that hasn't happened yet, is two things. One is we don't have a national ranking system for speedsoft teams, and speedsoft teams compared to like MilSims, whatever, are competitive. They play tournaments already, but
Yep.
nobody has gotten the whole country together, east and west, and gone, hey, let's do a tournament in the middle, whatever, wherever. Uh, Whoever, it's a Saturday and Sunday. Uh, 20 teams, 30 teams, 50 teams, whatever. Ready, go. And then who's the best? Who comes out on top, right? Because I start talking to people, I'm like, who's the best? What's the best speedsoft team in America? They're like, well, we got Murder Inc., we got SYG, we got these guys, LTD, we got these, whatever. I'm like, yeah, but who's the best? Well, we don't know. I said, you don't know. Is there a national ranking system? They're like, no. Now, I'm asking as a naive dumbass. I don't know fucking shit. Okay, like
Yeah.
I'm just curious,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, is there any way to know? Uh, well, I mean, you could. I'm like, no, no, no. Can I go online right now and search a ranking system that shows not someone's opinion, that shows who won the tournament, who won the finals? And they're like, no. Like, what? Why not? I thought
Yeah.
airsoft's been around for fucking ever. What are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
I'm coming into this as a new like a new naive new player, person, whatever, spectator in the sport, and I'm going, why hasn't this happened yet? The other thing was, why haven't we had a way to track how specific teams do in milsims? Like, what? So the only way is, so you got green and tan at a Third Coast Airsoft event. There's 350 people on each team. There's 700 people at the fucking event. Um, how do you know how your team did? If you have a team of 20 guys that you've been running with for like, and training with every Saturday, which some of these guys I've talked with have done,
Yeah.
they're really fucking good, man. I mean, good, good. Okay,
Mhm.
like they'll outshoot most guys coming up right out of the military. No shit.
Yeah.
They're doing this shit like legit, right? 15, 20 guys. I'm like, well, how long you been playing together? Oh, 7, 8 years. You've been practicing like that? Well, how do you know how your team did at the Iron Dagger? Well, I mean, we know we did pretty good. Well, yeah, but how do I know how you did?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. Well, did your team win? No, we were on green and they lost. How fucking disappointing. And I'm
Yeah.
going, we got all this fucking technology. We got drones that can follow you around, man. Like facial recognition
Literally.
and goddamn, airsoft guns that shoot a half a mile now and shit, right? Like with point fives. I don't understand why the fuck we're still in the arc ages, the ancient times with goddamn uh, with these events. Nobody knows who the fuck is doing what, and there's
Dude,
no player count.
it's
Where's
a
the
great
player
idea.
stats? I don't
I've
get it.
never thought of that. I mean, like I know Jet Desert Fox. He has like an app that they use to track shit. Okay, he's the only one that I fucking know that has an app. We thought about creating an app too, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
The problem with
I think
those,
it's a dope idea. I just
it's a
don't
great
know
idea.
how
Those,
do
well,
you
those,
force
those.
people to fucking do it.
Here's the thing, this is what him and I talked about on this podcast was there's apps on your phone, and I've heard of these. Grimnir Tactical has their own. There's a handful of event coordinators that have their own. So it works on your phone.
Yeah,
Number one, who the fuck wants to pull out their phone in the middle of a firefight at a MilSim event when it's fucking raining out and it's dark? Nobody. You want that? You want to drop it in the mud. You want to get it shot. You want to, light your face up, right? Like it's dark. Oh
yeah,
yeah, turn your screen on. Go ahead. Like there's got to be light discipline. Uh, I mean, it just so. And by the way, that's if you can get cell service anywhere on the field. Because when we go to GTI, the Government Training Institute down here in South Carolina, you don't get cell service, bro. It is like none. So
right.
you can
Yeah,
barely send a text. So and that's everybody that's on the field. So there's one spot where that's kind of off the plane area where there's Wi-Fi set up and stuff, but on the AO, nothing. So these apps are pointless, and I think that's why Third Coast hasn't done that because you have to have a local system. So anyway, I'm really curious to see who's going to implement something like this. That is, I don't know. It looks badass, man. So something to think about. Something to think about for sure.
I'm 100% interested. I mean, like I'm definitely 100% ears willing to listen to whatever how it works and talk to
Yeah.
them. I just have to figure out a way, or we, working together, being
Right.
the business owner, how do we incorporate it and how do we get people to actually buy the
He's
bands and wear
right.
them?
Yeah,
Because that's
he's got a whole
what
system set up. He explained it on the podcast, but yeah, I don't remember. But it's very it'll it's attractive. Like it'll be very easy to implement into to getting those set up or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. It's the other thing too is I guess he uses like these are the ones that actually have the number that you attach to your like these are the better ones that you can buy and
right.
then you have it forever. He also has the cheap ones you get like at a whatever, it just has a little thing in it
Yeah.
that you can just pass out and then everyone turns in later. They're really cheap, whatever. Those won't go to their player stats, but they still track the same stuff. So anyway, I will definitely get in contact with him because I'm I'm going to keep talking about this system until somebody gets. I want to see it on a MilSim because if you can't go to a MilSim, how do you know how the game's going midway? Nobody knows.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
follow somebody's
realistically, you
Instagram.
don't. You really
Yeah.
don't. And like even
Uh.
rep wise, you can't keep an accurate count of like what's happening all the time. So
Uh.
like most events I've gone to and like how we're really running ours right now is that you're taking a store count every hour on the hour. But
Right.
I mean, in between those hours, I mean, I don't know that, objective B just got taken back and D is doing, what I mean? Like you don't know.
Right.
And you're not going.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Well, if you find that if you have time over the next week or so, if you go back and look at that podcast, skip towards maybe halfway. You can just skip through. You'll see when he brings it up on the screen. He shares the screen or whatever, and shows the overlay of his website and how it connects and the boxes and how it instantly shows in real time when he has boxes with him like sitting on his counter right here, and he has this and he'll go, okay, now watch, and I had the website pulled up, but it was off screen. He was showing his. He's like, now watch this, and he taps it. He's like, and then it popped up. And I was like, what the fuck? Like it was that fast, instant.
That's all.
Um, it's really cool, man. It's really cool. So there's a lot of indoor fields that are using it right now, and there's some people on the leaderboards that love using it because these speed softers, they want to, hey bro, look. I mean, it's like Call of Duty, Halo. Look where I'm at on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll get you his info. It's a skirmish if you look it up. So
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna write it down.
I'll send it to you. In fact, I'll send it to you now. So who did you want to shout out, man? You want to,
I would say, for shout
or
outs
did
for
you
us,
want to go over anything else with your business?
I can't really think of anything other than we do have a giveaway coming up here on Christmas Eve for an
Oh,
APK
nice.
MP5K. If you do spend
What?
$10 on our website, yeah, see, it's got the nice little HK slaps. Um,
Nice.
yeah, so we're giving this away. You just have to spend $10 on the website. I'm going to do giveaways like this every single month for the whole year. It's $10 a month to join the subscription plan. We're going to give away guns and X fogs and all kinds of stuff. So that'll
Okay.
be going on. Other than
And
that,
what's the website?
it's www.nomadmilsim.com.
Okay.
So definitely not too hard to memorize there on that. But we have like 210 products right now in stock between guns and bags and plate carriers and sights and grenades and everything else, magazines, all kinds of different stuff up there on the website.
Right.
Other than that, I'd like to just shout out Skirmish Paintball Park, one of the fields we're running at on Target Paintball, New Jersey. From our supporters that we are currently sponsoring right now, I'm probably going to forget a couple because I'm rattling off the top of my head, but we got like
That's all
Ant-Man
right.
Airsoft, Pewdie, Bloodbath and Beyond, Moon Goons, Unit 215 Airsoft Team, One Legion MilSim, um, starting Blind Sniper. There's a few more in there. If I forgot some, I'm sorry, everybody. And we're working on a few more, like I said, YouTubers. And then just like I think, just thanks to our charities that are helping us out. We're working together, which is the Veterans for Airsoft and Special Olympics, which is
Awesome.
a pretty cool thing. And last minute, check out the events and yeah, check out the website.
Awesome. Well, you know what we'll do is, this video won't come out until probably another week or so.
Okay.
So in that time, if you want to send me all the links of people that you want to shout out, if you send the actual links for me, I'll
Yeah.
just copy and paste them and put them in the description, and that way
Perfect.
everybody gets covered.
That works for me.
Hell yeah, dude.
That works
Yeah,
for
I'm on
me.
your site right now. So you've got, okay, I see it. So basically, if I see it right here, the monthly giveaway subscription. Okay.
Yep.
And then if you spend $10,
You get
then you
entered.
get entered.
Yep.
Okay.
Free shipping. You just got to spend
Gotcha.
$10. I don't give a fuck
Doesn't
what
matter
you
what it
spend it on.
is.
It can be a ticket. It can be the subscription. It can be BBs. I don't care. Whatever.
Awesome, man.
Try to
Well,
make it
listen,
as
I
easy
wanna
as
I wanna
possible.
talk to you too about maybe providing patches from us.
Okay.
Our patches for your first event. Just to give out.
Yeah. Yeah.
The part of, if you're going to do a raffle at the end or whatever, or you can just stand up there and throw them out. Sal from Third Coast Airsoft
That's
does
what I
that.
do with my patches. I literally just
Yeah,
grab handfuls
yeah,
and throw them.
right. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
have to
I'm
get you
more than
some.
down.
Okay,
Just send them over to me, or I can pick them up, or whatever, and
I'll
we
ship
can.
them to you.
Yeah, that's fine with
Yeah,
me.
dude. All right, awesome. Well, listen, dude, it's been great talking with you.
Yeah, again, I really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you. I appreciate you letting me come on and talk, and it's been fun and funny.
Good. I'm glad. Well, I appreciate it, man. We'll definitely get the word out. Listen, anyone that's watching or listening to this later, go follow nomadmilsim.com on their website, and also Instagram is Airsoft Nomad,
Yeah,
and check out all his stuff. Blow him up, and if you send him a message or comment on something, let him know that you found out from him or about him from this podcast, and we'll continue spreading the word, man. I appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you guys so much, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And definitely link me up with your buddy on those skirmish
I am
bands.
going to send you the link right as soon as we're done here.
All right, perfect. All righty,
All
man.
right,
Thank you
brother.
so
You
much.
have a
Have
good
a
one,
good
man.
night.